Hello everybody and welcome back to A Slice, A Spice, A Dice movie reviews, all things horror, my little obsession. Okay, so y'all, this morning, that's when I'm recording it, it is Sunday morning. I got up specifically to watch Dexter episode 7. That's where we're at with this series, okay? I am like getting up early on a Sunday so I can watch it first thing, and I took notes on episode 7 because I was like, I'm gonna have to come talk to y'all about it. So before we get into it, anything like that, first and foremost, if you don't know about my true crime channel, check it out. It's called Reporting Live from a Sofa. It's free. It's my other channel. See what you think about it. Okay, before we even talk about episode 7, again, this is on the series Dexter. Y'all, this is complete spoiler alert. If you have not seen episode 7, you don't need to watch this video, okay? Unless you don't care about spoiler alerts and you want to hear me talk about it, then just go for it, right? So this is something that if you're into it and you're invested, you need to watch it and then come back here and talk about it. Now, again, what I'm going to be doing is, first I want to look over here. I have my notes on my laptop. So I'm going to kind of be referencing those because I just made some as I went along. So this is going to be a little bit of a different video. It's not going to be highly edited, stuff like that. It's going to be more like me literally just going through my notes and talking about my thoughts on episode 7. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So the recap for this is this from episode 6. So I go into episode 7. And I'm knowing that Dexter and Kurt, they're onto each other. The podcast woman, I'm sorry, I wrote it down wrong. The podcast woman, she knows what's up. Remember, he almost tried to take her out of that little cabin in the woods. Dexter saved her. Harrison broke that guy's arm. That was horrifying. And the cops find Iris, her friend, her high school friend who had gone missing. Okay, so that's what we're going into episode 7 with. So I was just like, okay, at good old-fashioned Dexter, it is becoming, the world's getting smaller and smaller. Everything is getting really turned up. So there's that. Now, let me just look over here what I have going over here. Okay, so it starts off. She calls Dexter. I don't need Jimmy. I need Dexter down here to help me. And this is with her friend Iris, the body that they found. Okay, so Dexter goes down there and he's helping her, figure out what happened. And he's doing what we know Dexter to do from the previous seasons. So when he looks and, he sees the bullet, the back injury, came out of front. All of this is there, right? And so then during that, he's like, oh, here's the tooth. It has some skin on it, which at first I was like, is he planting that evidence? You know what I'm saying? Did he somehow get that? But it doesn't appear that that's what happened. So she's going to run that. Now, of course, we know at this point that we're already rooting for Dexter to take Kurt out, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like this, we almost don't want the cops to get to him. So that happens, and you can start to see where even, his girlfriend or the chief of police, she's thinking that this is Kurt, and I mean, obviously we know it is, but she doesn't know that. She, again, is the Deb of this season, right? She's out of the loop, but not 100%. Now, I also love one little nugget of this is how Deb, his imagination Deb, obviously, is becoming more and more you should kill Kurt. She's starting to take on almost Dexter's reasoning, right? And so that's this whole nuanced part to her character, because it's such an interesting device that they're using for her character, because essentially it is Dexter, you know what I'm saying? It's a figment of his imagination, but it's also Deb, voice of reason, but also it's again this the battle of good and evil and who's winning and all this kind of stuff. Okay, now in the beginning where we see, it's a slow pan, but somebody's putting on what we remember as being Dexter's kill uniform or outfit, and it ends up being Harrison, and he's cleaning trucks, and I was just more and more, I'm sorry, but this is just leading towards this, either Dexter and his son are going to be a new combo, Harrison's going to take over something. So we see it's Harrison, he's cleaning up, Dexter is at the diner, him and Kurt square off. Now this tension between him and Kurt, this is something we've pretty much seen before, but again, it's just this kind of a thing, and we'll get to more that comes out later, here in a second in episode 7. But seeing them square off like that, I'm just oh my God, where is this going to go? Where is this going to go? jail. Okay, so then when we see Kurt get arrested, and I was like, oh my God, they must have gotten the DNA to match or whatever. And, obviously Dexter's there, and I'm like, that can't be a good look, right? And so there's that happens, they go. Well, then remember, if you've watched it, the part where the guy in the parking lot, the trucker gives Harrison the envelope to give Dexter, which Dexter will open it, and at first it's like some kind of a pin, a screw, whatever, we don't know. We will later find out when he looks it up that it's a titanium screw. And so you can kind of start piecing it together. I was like, oh my God, whoa. And so eventually, of course, from that we'll learn that was sent from Kurt to Dexter. Now, Dexter will break into the jail and confront Kurt. And at that part, I was like, he is going to kill Kurt in the jail. And honestly, I was like, if that happens, I'm very curious, because already I was like, really, you're going to break into the jail? Aren't there cameras? Like, this is kind of sloppy, right? I don't care if it's a small, tiny town. Maybe that exists out there. I don't know. But when we learn that it's like, oh my God, Kurt knows that Dexter killed his son, right? All the way down to the cryptic message at the diner where he was like, it's almost like it was fate that you picked me up that night. And then when he's talking about, with the screw and that comes to light, and he's like, that was ash or whatever, and, not everything burns, titanium doesn't burn. And you just kind of piece it together that the father, Kurt, got the titanium screws from his son's back. He knows that Dexter burned him. He knows this. So it adds this whole other layer, right? Of, wait a minute, this isn't just some killer. I mean, it is some killer. But this whole attachment that he has to Dexter's son, Harrison, has a whole new meaning, because now I'm like this. I'm like, okay, he is totally trying to destroy Harrison, and he's doing it in such a way of almost like, I'm not going to kill him. Maybe he's leading up to that, but almost like, I'm going to foster this dark side of him. Like, he sees it in him, right? And he wants Harrison, to completely be engulfed by that, and so he's fostering that. Now, it could lead up to him taking Harrison's life, but I think that Kurt is probably sadistic enough to be like, no, I just want him to become a horrible human being. Okay, so then let's talk about Kurt's statement at the police office, down there, because I was just like, where are they going to go from here? And this is one thing I really like about the show, is they really keep me guessing throughout, right? So I was like, how is he going to get out of this? So when they're down there, Kurt decides to make the statement. He goes into this long story of, oh, my father was a trucker, and he would pick up girls, and I would be in the truck with him, and he, it sounds like he liked to assault them, basically, and that song would be playing on the radio that Kurt listens to when he hunts his women. So he's describing this whole pity party scene or whatever, and the cop's moving along, of course, but then when he's like, look, I saw Iris get picked up by my father in the truck, it kind of, to me, what they're doing is leaving it gray zone to where it's like, well, oh, maybe that is what happened. Because remember, if you watched, they do that, the DA says, look, talks to the cop, 67% chance that the DNA was his, 33% chance we can't press charges. It's too much reasonable doubt. And I mean, so at this point we're like, well, maybe Kurt's not lying about that specific death, but it is very suspect that he wanted to keep them away from that. I think he killed Iris personally. Who even knows if that's true about the father? We don't know, but it would also make sense if it was, because if you see this theme all throughout the series, it's about what comes of these young men who are witness to these horrible crimes, things of this nature. Look at Dexter, look at Harrison, look at Kurt. You know what I'm saying? Especially in this particular season right here. So when all that happened, he got out of jail, I was like, oh my God. I was like, so now we know, right, that Kurt knows that Dexter took his own son Matt out, that Kurt is trying to do something to Harrison, and that he's out, and that also, well, we'll get to that now. Let's talk about the podcaster. Okay, so towards the end of it, there's that scene where he's staring at the podcaster with his dead eyes, and I'm like, oh, she's gone, right? Something's gonna happen to her. Now, earlier in this episode, the chief of police, she had a falling out with her, because she was like, why did you keep it from me about, the kill shack of Kurt's, basically, that you went out there? So remember, Dexter rode out there with her, with his girlfriend, the chief of police. And then on that note, when they got there, that whole cabin had been like gutted, right? So there's nothing left in there. So that's when he tells his girlfriend, yeah, I followed the podcast around here, and he tells her that, which I was kind of surprised over that, because I was like, how is he going to get out of that? Like, that's kind of creepy, right? But not creepy because he saved her, but it's a very flimsy story, right? And we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the podcaster situation. So, she kind of has that falling out with the chief of police earlier because she didn't let on to that information. She comes back once all this has been found out that yes, it was Iris. That information has come out, and so they kind of mingle or whatever. Okay, so then when she's talking toward the end, and she's talking about how creepy Kurt is and da-da-da, well, then they basically connect the dots where she's like, it's also creepy that Dexter followed me out to the thing. And remember, Dexter told his girlfriend that he overheard Kurt and Podcaster Girl talking. Well, they're at the same place, Podcaster Girl and Chief of Police, and she's able to say, well, no, I was over there and they were over here. And she's like, unless he recorded me, but then why would he record me? And she says this, which I think is a huge hint. She's like, if he wasn't your boyfriend, I would do a deep dive, right? Because at the end of the day, well, time out. Also, when she says that, the Chief of Police is like, well, it's weird too that he was having cheesecake with Kurt when I arrested him, which, hello, thank you. So there's that behavior by Dexter that's just weird, that isn't holding up here. It's almost like Dexter is applying some of his old stuff, but it's not flying with the people around him. And also he has this new dynamic of a podcaster person, right? Who's going to leave no stone unturned. So that dynamic, I think, is leading up, because what I think will happen, this is just my prediction, I don't know, I think Podcaster Girl is going to start investigating Dexter, right? She's going to get tea on Dexter. I think that something is going to happen to where maybe Dexter will make it so that I think Kurt's going to kill the Podcaster Girl, because he knows that she's like, he's also messing psychologically with Dexter and the son. So that's almost like a cat and mouse toy game for him. The Podcaster Girl is dangerous, so she's going to have to get taken out. I don't see Dexter doing it because she hasn't done anything wrong yet that we know of, right? I mean, that could be another term. But with Kurt being after her, I could almost see if she comes on, if she starts to get on to Dexter, him almost like letting something happen, like letting whatever's going to happen. But I do think she's going to get taken out by somebody somehow, some way, because she's going to know too much. And I think she'll be the device, the vehicle in this that takes us to the edge of that. Remember in the first one, I cannot remember his name right now, but he was the only cop that was like, Dexter's a serial killer. Dexter's a serial killer. And Dexter took him out before he got exposed. I feel like she is that device in this new season. Now, whether that will extend to other ones, I don't know, but I feel like Dexter always keeps it consolidated to one season, like a storyline. So I feel like her time is probably going to be coming up, and especially the hint of it with Kurt staring at her with those deadpan eyes like, I'm gonna kill her. Now, there's that, right? So then we fast forward to the very ending. So Harrison is at work. Of course, Dexter is like always lingering on this work because he knows. He's like, Harrison doesn't know how dangerous Kurt is, and basically Harrison's days are numbered as far as Dexter's concerned. And I mean, I agree, but I don't think he'll be killed off. So there's a confrontation between the wrestlers from the other school because Harrison did break his arm, which was completely horrible, right? So here's my thoughts on that process. So Harrison pulls a knife out, and this basically leads to Dexter coming out, having the, oh, son, what's going on? And Harrison saying, I am messed up, Dad. You're right. I'm messed up. Something's not right with me. I thought I was having these nightmares, but I remember everything. And of course, that's when Dexter's like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? But he's like remembering the serial killer stuff, not Dexter. But it does also say to me that he's going to have other memories come up, right? So I think that Dexter is going to have to just, and like Dexter said, I'm going to have to tell him everything. I think what we're leading up to, and that's where I was like, we might have a father-son duo here. And Dexter might be literally teaching him how to be a functioning serial killer, almost like how Dexter's dad did in the beginning, but it's that next level of, okay, now the torch has been passed to Dexter, but Dexter is already like a serial killer, right? So something to me is going to come up of that. I don't see Harrison getting killed off. They could completely shock me, but I just think he's going to stick around for other seasons. I cannot imagine that they will not be doing other seasons. Everyone I talk to is like hooked on the show again, right? So I think it's doing very well. Now remember that very last scene where Dexter, this whole interaction goes down with Harrison. Harrison rides off with his friend. Dexter's getting in the car and that guy comes and puts he is like kidnapping Dexter. So that dude, if you've watched and you remember, is the same dude who was in the video camera footage at the hotel pretending to be Matt. So we're seeing now that yes, Kurt has all these henchmen working for him. God knows what tea they have. They might already even have info being like, yeah, Dexter, we know who Dexter is. Like, we know his real deal. So there's that. So that's like the synopsis of my thoughts on the way. So main takeaways, I do think that the podcaster girl is going to get killed at some point. I don't know if the chief of police will survive the situation. I think she'll stick around for a hot minute. Not meaning that she's going to leave or whatever, but the writers will keep her in. Because I just feel like she is the Deb of the series, right? Except I kind of like her better because she's not... Deb got on my nerves at certain points, okay? I'm not going to lie. Her character was just so extra, and you could only keep someone blind to what's going on for so long. But again, I did appreciate Deb's... This is the law, and it doesn't matter, you're my brother and all that. Sadly, it got her killed. I do think that there's going to be obviously a showdown between Kurt and Dexter. I could almost see Harrison and Dexter killing Kurt together, because I don't think that Kurt's going to be able to kill Harrison for story sake. You know what I'm saying? Like, for the plot line. So there's that. I am very curious to hear what y'all have to say. Again, I am absolutely obsessed with the series. I absolutely love it. I actually love that they didn't dump it all out at once, because literally, like I said, every Sunday morning, like to this morning, I got up. I'm doing that. Right now it's 8:17, y'all, that I'm recording this. Okay, so I have been up like very early. Anyways, thank y'all for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you back here.